going on, guys? Posting a video on my automatic water change or kind of a water exchange system. What you just saw there was a little bit of water being added into this little beaker here, and that's part of the water exchange system. I wanted to sort of show about how much water I'm adding, which is not very much. So basically, I'm building this aquarium. As I go along, I'm posting some videos of different systems that I'm working on to automate some things, and I figure, you know, that'll help somebody else if they want to automate it, and then, you know, it might show them maybe how to improve or what to do differently or what things I've learned. So on my water exchange system, I kind of want to explain a few things here. This is obviously not normally where I would be adding water to this little beaker. This is just for testing purposes. So right now I'm calibrating the system. Normally, I've got these two lines running in from the basement. The black one is water being pulled out, or dirty water. The white one is water being added. These are both salt water, so this has nothing to do with RODI water. I'm pulling out salt water, I'm adding salt water, and I'm looking for basically no change except for new water versus old water. Normally these two fittings would be located back here in my sump. One for in, one for out. Basically, the system works by having some pumps down the basement. The pumps I'm using are made by SpectraPure. It adds a tiny bit of water and removes a tiny bit of water. It's so small that you almost don't even notice it. Literally what you saw for like a second was all it's doing. Pulling the water out, it'll be almost impossible for us to even see that, but you'll just see this little water level drop. Right now, since I'm kind of calibrating the system, I'm using a beaker and the scrunchie of ultimate accuracy here. And what I do is basically I'm just running the system 24 hours a day and coming back and seeing, oh, well, increase the level just a tiny bit. Let me tweak it. Let me go down to the basement and adjust how much it's pulling out. It needs to pull out a tiny bit more. My goal is, I have about 100 liter total volume. That's about 25 gallons in my aquarium and my sump and everything else. So I want to exchange about 1% per day. So in my case, if I have 100 liters, I want to remove about 1 liter a day over a 24-hour period. And you know, I read a really good article by a guy named Randy Holmes Farley. I'll post a link on my description, and he explains why it makes such a big difference. I really like this. When I designed my aquarium, that's one of the first things I wanted to make sure I did. So while we're upstairs, I'm going to do kind of a two-part video, what's going on in the sump, and then I'm going to post a video of what's going on down. I don't know if you can see that. It's almost imperceptible. You just pull the little water out, and then you can see as it released the siphon pulling the water out, you can just sort of see that level drop there for a second. Basically I'm going to post what's going on in the sump so you can kind of see what's going on up here, and then I'll post another video of what's kind of happening behind the curtains down in the basement where the machinery actually is. So one of the problems I'm always kind of worried about is, well, what happens if the pump adding water was to get stuck on and did not shut off after the few seconds it was supposed to shut off? Well, they built a fail-safe system at SpectraPure called the Water Exchange Module, WXM. And basically, this is how it works. You've got one of these little airline pressure tubes in your sump. As the water level was to increase in the sump, it would build up pressure inside this tube. That tube runs through this little clear line all the way over into here. All right. This is the water exchange module that you're buying, the WXM. And basically what happens is you get your electricity from your outlet. It runs into the water exchange module. There's a pressure switch. If the pressure begins to increase because the sump is starting to flood, it shuts off the electricity that is flowing down into the pump system, into the SpectraPure LiterMeter pumps. And by doing that, it prevents it from working anymore because you have a malfunction, and then it shuts off the whole system so you don't have your sump flooding. Down in my basement, I have a 20-gallon saltwater storage tank 20 gallons in my sump would be unfortunate. It'd obviously overflow. I probably will eventually plug this into my Neptune controller and then put a float switch on the Neptune controller as like a second backup, just because that is such a major problem you could potentially run into. So for now, that's pretty much what's going on up here. There are no pumps up here. If you can look in here, there's no pumps. The pump is about 30, maybe 40 feet away. So the good news is it's absolutely silent. You don't hear anything. I mean, it's just a tiny trickle of water going in, tiny trickle of water going out. You can't even perceive it. I really wanted that. I don't want a lot of noise. So it's working really, really well. Right now, like I said, I'm calibrating it. I'm just trying to get the amount of water being removed and added to match exactly, so that the system can kind of be on autopilot and it can work really well on its own. So video 2 here is going to be what's going on in the basement, you know, kind of a behind the curtains view of what's happening and what makes this all work.